Elon took me next. I'm next. Atum-re.
Lucifer asni upaduni zawu shahur fahaza ura na wa'u hina kalonut satu tabu asaj dum liya fanus liya manu ha'u na shuti nuka kritipa harp na fus anaki yasib hal right kalus zalu nuwapi wapa sabu gadush pa nasi atapa habu kalus wa hazu kalon da yu wahus kalon shi pakarita aru karut ini bisa bor wasula haru wakut hazininu lan lam khalunda ya hadut sayuna no fino pa aswood hayo lagut no fino na hayo wasinu ba wabu mawu
Sadgat, hazi wa gudi enough and tower hat illa pa nest divat. Sagduat, cool hamutu illa pa rushinat unto what the pa how shill how at rahubat. So for 10 kabun fi pa my friend is sayuna. Doratim la mood. Cool hamutu, cool hamutu.
This comes from Tax Lien Tax Deed, workbook, and real estate legal fiction. Secured. They have a tendency to use words we use on a regular basis, but subject them to different definitions when you take them out that genre or that forum. So when we talk in real estate, this is important. Secured. Of a debt or obligation, supported or backed by security or collateral. Like a credit card is not doesn't pursue or nor is it a secured agreement. Meaning, if you go into debt, they don't come and take something from you. If they can repossess something, then it's a secured arrangement because there's collateral. Okay? Supported or backed by security or collateral of a creditor, protected by a pledge, mortgage, or other encumbrance of property that helps ensures financial soundness and confidence. Now you have sole proprietorship, a business in which a person owns all the assets, owes all the liabilities, and operates in his or her personal capacity, ownership of such a business. That's important. Liability, let's just make sure we got that. The quality or state of being legally obligated or accountable. Legal responsibility to another or to society. Enforceable by civil, remedy, or criminal punishment. A financial or pecuniary obligation. Why are we looking at that word liability, sole proprietorship, secured, legalist? We have to be legalists when you purchase a property. You have to be a person who views things from a legal or formalistic standpoint. Meaning, before I sign this contract and just believe everything you're saying is true, let me know what I'm walking to. This is why in my books, I said I'm gonna do something nobody does. I haven't seen it yet. I put the contracts that I signed to buy my properties in the book. People say, you're just trying to take up pages and charge me. You know we dealing with our people, right? You put a 20-page contract in your book, fam. You trying to play me. And I said, oh, but if you ever bought a timeshare, you know they try to get you to buy it on the spot. And if you come back a second time because you negated to purchase it the first time, it's going to cost $5,000 or $10,000 more than it cost before. So that's their sales pitch. Buy it now, and we'll cut off $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 if you buy it right now and sign all 23 pages. You don't get time to think. You ain't no lawyer. Most of us don't even study law. We don't even have the science inclination to study this stuff. And if we do study law, we ain't even study the law most relative to us. Real estate law. So I said, you know what? This is deep. You know what I'm going to do? Just came up with a new idea. I'm still putting the contracts that I signed right there and say, this is what you need to look for. That's what I do. And how to I think your press, I'm like, if you don't see the promissory note, don't buy the property. You need a promissory note. And I explain why. Say, these are things that you need to know. Find out that property is connected to a credit union because there's a lot of opportunity granted to you, providing that that property or that organization locks you into a credit union. Why? Because a credit union has, well, first of all, they're not going to charge you when you pull your own money out. They're not going to charge you if you don't put money in your account for a long period of time, like these other guys. Their interest rates are lower. They extend better loans to you with lower interest rates. You can get a larger home equity line of credit, providing you do obtain an asset. And they'll actually educate you in the process when you do engage in some potential transaction to buy property. So I tell people, look, you know what? If you do buy a timeshare, for instance, buy something with Diamond, because you wind up part of the Federal Quorum Credit Union or Quorum Federal Union. You say, why though? Why we just can't join a credit union outside that? The way credit unions work, you have to be in the fold of some prospective community or patronize some group in particular. So these are little tricks of the trade. He said, yo, I'm trying to get a credit card, but the credit thing ain't working out. So I say this, look, find a better address. I'll give you a map. I'll show it in books. I give you a map. It's called redlining. Credit card companies know they can't ask you what your race is. But no one said they can't do the demographics to find out which race predominates a certain area. So they call it redlining. What they do, they redline certain areas on the map and say anybody in the red line, don't give them credit. Or we do only give them $500 worth of credit. Now, you can have a higher credit score than a white person in your community. You can have a 750 credit score in the hood. And a white man can have a 540 credit score in a highly reputable zip code. The red line doesn't go through his zip code. They would extend to him some credit. They didn't know he was white. They didn't even know if he was black. They saw that red line. You had a high credit score, but they said, man, that red line's right there. Don't give it to him. White man in another community, his house is just below the red line. We don't give it to him. High probability he's going to pay it back. So people say, yo, I can't get a credit card for nothing, because when they ask you for your address, that's the setup. So say you got to learn the tricks of the trade. Because if we could just get into the door, credit is a resource now, unfortunately. Electricity is very important, especially currency. They call it electricity, currency, current, money. It's very important. We got to get access to it. And the name of the game is not to try to save up $1 million. It's not going to work. It's hard to save even $1,000 if you're in the hood.
Yep.
Let me take my damn jewelry off. Somebody said, yo, too fast. All the way in Indiana. Goddamn. I may never get back to y'all. I teach my ass off like last time. Hopefully I can get out of here. Start dancing. I'm messing around. So what we want to do, we want to identify things from a legalist perspective. We got to do the math first. We got to do the math first and figure out all the tricks of the trade. So when we go in and we come out with substance. So that redlining thing is very important. We got to figure that out. We got to know where they redline in your community. It's called redlining. You can even go online and look up redlining in Indiana. You should be able to find where the red line grid is that credit card companies use to ostracize people in those respective communities. Then you got to figure out how to get your box in a community that's nowhere near that red line. Then you petition to get credit and you'll get it all the time. Because they can't ask you your race, but they can deny you because of your address, your zip code. It's serious. So that's one. And then we got to know what to do with that credit when we get it. Because if it's a blunder, then now you got to start all over again. So it's always about intelligent decision making and knowing what to use it for. But I need to know what I'm up against. In the event that I run low on money, I know what time I'm dealing with. A lot of us are dealing with foreclosure problems and we don't even know when they're going to take the house. Right. We're just sitting there laying in wait. But just little knowledge on the lot number or the block number and going online, you can find out how much time you have and who purchased the lien. Simple information. And it will save us. We need to be educated in these matters too, because why? We live somewhere. Everybody has to live somewhere. So that's why it's important. We all breathe, we need to study the breath. We all eat, we need to study food. We all need to live somewhere, so we should study real estate. It's simple. We're not trying to make nothing difficult here. We're not trying to take no one from their spirituality. We all have to have some place to live, so we have to study real estate. It's one of those things that have to be taught if no one else teaches it. So we're going to go forward. Remember that tax code, C.3205, lowercase b. Let's go to the next one. Property taxes are very important. Why? Property taxes are allocated by the county government. The county government is responsible for collecting property taxes in your community. You buy a house, you buy some land, you have to pay property taxes. Property tax money is taken by the county government and used to pay for policemen in your community. Whether we like them or not, I like them because they keep the bad black people in control. But the bad black people don't take the good black people serious. But when the good black people call the white man, the bad black people turn into good black people. So we're going to need them for quite some time until we get things straight in our community. Okay, so they are the protectors of good black people, believe it or not. When the bad black people get out of control and out of line. When they beat up on their wives, and can't no one stop them, because his big muscle head brother, you can't stop him, or he got guns, he will put that gun down and talk in the best grammar when the white people come. In fact, he doesn't even have to be a cop, so long as he's white. So, property taxes definitely need to go to them. Property taxes go to these cops here to keep their business going and keep them in the community. Right? Now we got these people here. The children. Property taxes go to the public school teacher. And even though he's teaching lies, probably having one of his little Christopher Columbus wig out sessions, nonetheless, school isn't entirely bad. And property taxes go to schools. It keeps the schools up. So it keeps the policemen going, keeps the schools up. Fire department, most black communities don't really have any fire departments close. You go to white communities, if you start, when you know what to look for, you start realizing, whoa, black communities have clinics. And you go to white communities, you don't see no clinics. You see healthcare centers and hospitals that's ran by people that look like that. So property taxes keep the fire department open. If everybody's having rampant foreclosures in black communities, you're not going to see them there because foreclosures is the opposite of having police nearby, fire department, paved roads, and public schools. So we'll see a lot of our public schools closing down, student loans and funding being scarce, overcrowded classrooms, police taking too long to get into your neighborhood, no fire department around, potholes in the street, messing up your car, because the property taxes are not being paid in the community. And those property taxes get allocated to make sure there's a fire department, police personnel, teachers, and paved roads and highways. Just to name a few things where property taxes get allocated towards. That's why it's important. In fact, out of all the taxes you pay, property taxes is the least diluted tax. It's the one that actually goes towards what they say it goes towards. It's one of the best taxes to actually pay. It keeps your community going. Now, if your community is designed to not know how to fulfill the mandate to pay their property taxes, which is more important than even paying your water bills, because your water bill, you can keep that going for a little hot minute. Your gas and light, you can keep that going for a little hot minute. But the second you don't pay your property taxes, you're in trouble. Because you can't bargain or barter or exchange with the county government and say, yo, can I give you in installments? No. Property taxes is something that has to be paid in full. It's not like everything else. It's important. So it pays for these things. It keeps them going. This is government funding. County government funding. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, because we're in Indiana. Like, might as well start it at home. So I said, all right, that's what's up. But I never want you to limit yourself and think you got to be there to buy houses. I bought houses I've never seen and sold them before I even got there. Because we live in 2012 right now. And though 2011 is just a year ago, we live in a technological era. You don't have to be there no more. You ever see people pull up around your house and just be taking pictures?
Yes.
Yeah. You say, yo, there they go spying on me and shit. Yo, there they go. Right? I used to think that too. Then I found out these are realtors that's being hired to take a picture of property because the people that invested in that property don't live in that state. So they're just being hired to come there and take pictures. You don't know the relief that I had. Because I'm like, yo, I'm a black conscious teacher. I'm doing my thing in my bookstore. And I'm like, yo, people be outside like, I'm like, yo, who are, yo, they stay doing, and then we be chasing, yo, why you taking, yo, give me that picture back, yo. And he ain't even focusing on us, we just happen to be there. Yo, that was people cameras we stole and beat up, like, yo, don't even know. Yeah, well, Indiana is a tax lien state. And they go by what's called a premium bid, which means they start from a lower increment and they allow people to do, in a colloquial sense, auction. They allow people to say, I got 900, I got 950 and things of that nature. They just keep raising it up. That's a premium bid. They got different ways to bid. They got bidding down the interest. Okay, this is it's a tax lien state. You can buy some tax deeds here, but particularly in terms of the auctions that I'm talking about, it's a tax lien state. They got tax deed states. If you want to get the house, you buy the tax deed. If you want to purchase the debt and make a profit off of it, and potentially get the house if the person doesn't pay back, then that's a tax lien. In a tax lien, you can potentially get the house, but you can make a profit paying taxes. And the IRS will give you a lot of love for doing this too, because you pay taxes for a living. If a person owns a house and their property tax is $600 a year, it's mandated by law that the person that pays or purchases the property tax will have to get anywhere between 15 to 26% interest. So you're talking about 15 to 26% in addition to the surcharges, the late penalties and things of that nature. So if a person owes $600 in property tax, they went delinquent. Let's say the redemption period is 1 year. In 1 year, that person didn't pay their $600. What happens is the county government will have your debt up for sale. This is how you purchase debt. They'll say, well, you know what? This person owes $600 in property tax. Someone comes to the auction, like yourself, you say, I'll buy that one. How long is the period? How long till it takes for my flip? No? You might say, look, we about 8 months in, you'll probably get this money back in 2 to 3 months if the person pays. If that doesn't happen, you're going to get the house. They're not going to explain it to you, but that's the name of the game. You get the house. So now you say, okay, well, what's the profit? So you make sure you find out the percent. In Indiana, the percentage is what they call a graduated rate. Indiana is kind of different from other states. It's called a graduated rate. This means that if you purchase a tax lien in the first 6 months of the year, your profit will be 10% interest. That's if someone owes $600 and you buy their $600 debt in property taxes, the county government issues what they call a tax lien certificate. You establish a lien on the property by purchasing the debt, and then the tax lien certificate denotes that security agreement between you and the actual county government. The collateral is the actual house. If someone doesn't redeem or pay it back, you get the house, because remember what collateral was and remember what security is. And a security is a paper certificate that attests to credit and ownership and equity, as in the case of a stock, or ownership of a bond, as in the case of debt obligation, which has tradable derivatives. Tradable derivatives just means that that contract can be sold on the stock market and people will be willing to invest and take less interest. All this merely means is if you get a certificate from the government, it's a paper certificate that identifies the fact that you have an invested interest in property, and if you don't get what you invested in, then you'll get the property as the collateral for the agreement. That's all that means. Anytime you see a certificate. All right? So if you purchase someone's $600 debt, what they'll say is, you're not just going to get 10% of $600. No, before you do that, we're going to add $150 for a surcharge, another $300 for a late penalty, and then 10% of that. So they're not just going to give you 10% of $600, which is $60. That thing is going to be up to about $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500. And then you're going to get 10% of that in Indiana. But if you pay for a person's lien or establish a lien on a person's property in the second half of the year, you get 15% instead of 10%. And if they don't pay for both within that 1 year, then you're getting 25% overall. A quarter of the money right back is an investment. Okay? And if you did this at a consistent rate and just bought tax liens based on what you could afford to buy every month, after doing it for 12 to 15 months, you have created what is called an annuity. You are annuitized the tax lien, which means you will have checks coming in, like SSI, like you crazy or nuts, or you fronted like you was crazy and now you got checks coming in, because we did that in the hood too. Those checks is good when they come in, right? And sometimes you gotta go outside and act like stuff ain't right, just in case somebody see you.
Enki just joined.
Cool. Yeah, peace, Enki. So, that's one of the student masters we got in the new covenant. Okay, so now you have the interest rate at 10%, first half, 50%, second half. If they fail to pay for the 2 liens in that 1 year, you're gonna get 25% interest. And that's what makes this class so good, because we can kind of go into the things in between the lines, right? And Indiana has a 1 year redemption period, so we know when to expect our money. Now this is an important tax code. C.6-1.17-7. I gotta put this information here so you can look it up. According to this code, the purchaser of the lien has in their possession a lien that is superior to all liens and other encumbrances that is on the real property. This means, let's say you purchase someone's debt. They owe $600 in property taxes. Let's say you're invested in it because you know you potentially can even get 25% at the end of the year. Or 2-3 months from now, depending on when you purchased it based on that redemption period. Because they already went delinquent. And remember, if a person doesn't pay their property taxes in 1 year, that 1 year delinquency warrants the behavior of the county government to sell your debt to anybody of the community or bank or the IRS or whoever. Now, if that person or whoever owns that property doesn't fulfill the mandate to pay within that redemption period that we talked about, which is 1 year in this particular case in Indiana, you have, as the purchaser of the lien, 31 days to execute your right to foreclose on that property. When a person doesn't pay for the lien, or redeem as they say, when they don't pay for the $600, plus the surcharges, plus what you gotta get paid, what'll happen is, you get the property for free with no mortgage. But you got to do this and act in 31 days. If you don't act in 31 days to fulfill your right to execute a proper foreclosure, then your tax lien dissolves. And this tells you when you do get the property, some people say, well, yo, sometimes I know somebody who bought a property and they had to pay for the second mortgage that someone else took out on it, or there was some prior water bills and then they had to put the light back on and out. Nah. According to Indiana, if you purchase a tax lien, it says no other encumbrance can hinder the appreciation of that real estate. Appreciation is when you make a profit over something you bought in real estate. Nothing can hinder the potentiality of you gaining appreciation or profit from the investment, and that's the tax code that protects you. And I show people how to execute their right to foreclose or direct them to who they need to go to. That's in the case of a tax lien. All right? And this is why it's good news for you. Okay? That's in the state of Indiana. Let's go to the next one. We got about 3 or 4 more slides. This is the process. We need to know this process. Hypothetical chart, tax lien and tax deed. Let's do it like this.
Luksufa asli bukadunin zawu shahur Fahaza ura na wa'u Hina kalonut Satu tabu Asaj noom liya fanus liya manu ha'u Na shooting nuka kritupa harp na fus Anduki yasib hal rai kalus Zalu nuwapi wapa sabu gadush pa Nasi atapa habu kalus wa Hazu kalonu da yu wawus Kalon shi pakarita Aru karut Ini bisa bor wasula Haru wakut Hazininu lan lam khalundaya hadut Sayuna novino pa aswood hayo lagut Novino na hayo wasu nuba wabu mawu
Saduat, hazi wa gudi enough until we had ilapa nestivat. Saduat, cool hamutu ilapa rushinat unto what the pahau, shill hawu at rahubat. So for 10 kabun fi pa my fruit, easy sayuna. Dora Tim Lamu, Kuhamu, Kuhamu to Kulamu, Kuhamu to.
Atum-re be a sukanu abi ela pamu hota barahu hakum hadi aklus rakunwa bakum habi kalantu da yuga wa hetsan hadi hazanok nan khalan hayu marun gabi shinuk sufutem nafun gali ba shodik sahu dahu suruna rusilpa hauba uf inena kilowatem da yusha utarashna fakaru kalun abu tu anuki hen agun rafor hodori pa tutalazum agor zoji kalpa hakum da war wasayu di kalpa azum
Sucks bad. Hazi wild goody enough in tower hat in the pie next to that. Sock do that. Cool hamutu illa pa rushing at unto what the paha chill how at raku back. So for 10 kaboom feet pa my foot easy say you know. Dora Tim Lamu. Cool hamutu. Cool hamutu.